Hi, welcome to the Control and Compound podcast. This is our May monthly update. All kinds of exciting industry news, what's going on in the markets, Bitcoin, housing. Let's dig into it. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Control and Compound with Darren Mitchell. I'm your host, and with me, as always, Christina Wyatt, wealth coach at Control and Compound. Hey, Christina, what's going on today?
Hey Darren, it's a beautiful spring day here. We're starting to see the warmer weather, so I'm a happy camper. I love seeing that sunshine. So love a good May update.
Golf courses are open, boats are in, docks are in. It's feeling like spring in Canada, which is always an exciting time because you get those 13, 14 degree days, and you feel like it's like 35, and people are out in shorts and t-shirts and stuff. So fun time of year to live in Canada. All kinds of exciting stuff going on in the market, in Control and Compound, in the industry. Let's start with interest rates, Christina. Again, probably the number one topic that people have been talking about the past year. What's going on with interest rates this month?
Yeah, so there was an announcement back in April and they held. So we did not see an increase in April. We're still sitting at that 4.5% Bank of Canada rate. So I am hearing a little bit of rumbling when you're reading in the papers that we do have an update coming on June 7th. So we'll see what they do then. But it is at this point, yeah, so we've held. Prime here is 6.7, but our neighbors in the US are around 8. So they didn't hold. They actually increased. So they're still increasing over there, which is why I'm thinking people are, a little hesitant. They don't know if we're actually going to continue to hold if our neighbors are still increasing, right? So still up in the air on those. We don't know what's going to happen. I always wait for those announcements and, you see them pop up and you're like, oh, a new update. Okay, let's see what's going on. But we'll see what happens June 7th.
Perfect. Okay. And then inflation's still up. It's like 4.3% in March, according to their numbers. But again, we talked on another podcast about what basket they look at. But 4.3% for inflation. Anything to add there, Christina?
Well, I don't think my grocery store got the memo. I was there last night and it wasn't even a full grocery order. It was like, when you got to get garbage bags and paper towel and those types of things. So I go up to the cash and they're like $100. $100. Like, I have garbage bags here. What's happening? I was like, can you just scroll up so I can read through? And I read through and the cashier was absolutely right. He wasn't trying any funny business. It really was $100 for some garbage bags and toilet paper. So yeah, I don't think the grocery stores got the memo on the inflation yet.
Well, were you tipping 18, 20, or 25% when you bought your groceries? Because I find every other place I go into now that all of a sudden tipping's a thing in places it never was. A grocery store would probably be next.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I didn't see it at the grocery store, but I have seen it. Now that you say it, you are seeing it more and more often.
Oh, it's everywhere. Okay, and then Christina, you took my advice January 1st and you put everything you own in Bitcoin because I told you it was going to go up. So Bitcoin's volatile. We're not saying invest in Bitcoin, but Bitcoin year to date is between 28,000 30,000, depending upon the minute you look at it. That's up 76% year to date. So Bitcoin up 76% year to date. Big, huge increase. Now, before you get too excited, if we look at a 1 year basis, it's still down 26%. But again, Bitcoin's gaining momentum, getting in the news more, talking about inflation, printing money, economy tanking, U.S. dollar perhaps not being used as the worldwide currency in some places. So there's all kinds of little fear going on there, which typically fear of fiat currencies drives up Bitcoin. I'm guessing. I'm not an expert on Bitcoin. And then what about the stock markets, Christina?
So they're kind of just doing what they're doing. I think Canada's up about 5% or so year to date. The US markets are up about 2% year to date. So we're not seeing that huge turnaround swing that people typically are waiting for after the drop that we saw in 2022. Haven't saw that huge upswing just yet, but they are kind of holding steady. I think it's just there's so many unknowns out there still, right? That the markets don't like unknowns and there's still a lot of it happening out there. So until things kind of straighten out in every other area, I don't think you're going to see that upswing there either. But it's nice not to see those negatives, I suppose. You got that +2, +5.
Yeah, but don't kid yourself. We are not out of the woods yet. Like
No.
Everyone's been talking about this recession that's coming, and then maybe it won't come. I don't know. There's a lot of a lot of indicators saying we still could have a really nasty 2023. You're starting to see job layoffs. You're starting to Bed Bath and Beyond close down. This month. So you get some big employers laying off a lot of people. You get interest rates up. Takes time for these rate increases to work through the system. But I think the likelihood of a major recession this year is still really high. Now, housing prices, we saw a bounce back in housing prices too across the country. So housing prices were up 4% in the last month. The average sold price was $686,000. Still down 14% in the last 12 months, but trending upwards right now. But really trending upwards or downwards depending upon where you live. And when people are worried about recessions or certain parts of the country are doing better than others, that tends to be reflected in the housing. So I got some interesting stats here. This is for the month of March. Ontario prices up about 2%, BC up about 2%, Saskatchewan up 5.7%, Alberta up 15.5%. So the 1 month average home price change by province, Alberta's up 15.5%. And Christina, that coincides exactly what we're hearing when we talk to real estate investors every day. A lot of interest in Alberta these days.
Yeah, a lot of interest in Alberta. I think, they don't have those cap rates. Their taxes are better. It's a nice looking spot. It's a nice shiny looking spot. We're also seeing a lot of people look out in the US and checking out some alternative locations outside of Canada. You're hearing it more and more with the prices and that price increase we saw over the last couple of years. And then you throw in some rent caps and cash flow is not positive so much. So if you can find something in Alberta or the US that's going to give you that positive cash flow, people are looking for it, and they're looking outside now. They're looking outside the box, right? They're looking outside of their provinces and seeing what's available.
Yeah. I don't. If I'm trying to figure out where to invest now, I just ask ChatGPT, where do I invest to make 100% return guaranteed every day? Like, it's a stretch, but we wanted to talk about ChatGPT or artificial intelligence just a little bit in this segment because we've been dipping our toe into it, but. Basically, what my view is if you are a business owner or real estate investor, you need to spend some time to at least learn a little bit about AI. AI is going to transform the world. It's going to transform business. It's going to transform marketing. It's going to transform everything. And you don't need to be an expert on it, but you need to learn some things about it. So at least you know enough that you can go out and find the expertise you need if you're gonna go hire someone. So don't need to be an expert, but if you don't learn AI, it's going to affect your ability to conduct business in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. It's more, you hear about it more and more and more. You can't ignore it any longer. It's time. And you told me, Darren, you're like, Christina, get on here. You got to check this Chat GPT out. And I'm like, haven't been on there yet. What is this? I was very like, it's crazy. It's actually crazy. It's scary to see what these things can do now. And I was ignoring it, just like a lot of people probably are. And you're like, no, you have to get on here and see what this thing does. And oh yeah, it's almost scary. Like, it's scary. You're talking about the songs that they're making now with the, they can do your voice, they can write your song, they can do everything. It's nuts.
In fact, we are not live right here. We are actually AI characters right now.
No, we haven't got that far yet.
No.
We're still learning though, but we are open-minded.
I would have selected one with hair if I did that. But all right, so that's ChatGPT AI. Just dip your toe in it if you're a business owner. If you're an individual, if you're a human, I think you're going to need to learn a little bit about AI, especially if you're in business or real estate, because all those, if you can do something in a fraction of the time in business, that's very important. And AI is going to allow us to do in the fraction of the time what it takes now. So don't know your business, but don't care. You need to know a little bit about AI. And then life insurance news, Christina, we've got another dividend scale announcement from one of the companies.
Yeah, so second company up to announce their dividend scale increase. Again, we have another increase, was Canada Life. So just this past week, Canada Life announced that they are moving up 25 points. So they're going from 5.25 to a 5.5% dividend. So they were on the lower end of the dividends with the companies that we work with, but it seems like they're the trend is up, which I like to see an upward trend. It's a nice thing to see, right? So even though they're still a bit below the others, the fact that they're on their way up and it's just improving is a nice thing to see.
Thanks for listening so far. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that bell button so you always know when new content is coming out. If you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, please leave a 5-star rating and leave a review and subscribe. And if you are interested in learning more, please visit our website at controlandcompound.com to sign up for a free education session with one of our wealth coaches.
All right, so we're 2 for 4. 2 of the companies have announced, both up a quarter of a point. The other 2 companies we work with are announcing in a couple months. We don't know what they're going to be yet, but the hope and the expectation is across the board increases. Which, if you just stop and think about it, I just talked about potentially a massive recession coming, volatility. If that happens, the stock market's going to crash. Real estate's going to crash. Well, infinite banking or whole life or cash value life insurance is not going to drop. We have the history. We saw what happened last time. Dividends went up. We saw the uncertainty this year. Dividends went up. We saw 2008 when everything crashed. These all paid dividends 7% and change. So this uncorrelated asset, this participating whole life, is vital to you planning for this next recession or drop, because if all your other assets drop in value, you want an uncorrelated asset that's not going to drop in value that you can leverage and buy all those other assets on sale. So again, dividends trending upwards. We're not going to see a massive increase any one year, just consistently stable or increasing. We're excited for that. All right, Christina, that's the industry news. Any more industry news for us?
Yeah, I got a couple other cool things that popped up this last month. Another Canada Life update, actually, and they're the first. They're a company, one of the only companies that have come up with a new product. So we don't hear a lot about new PAR products, okay? They've been around for 100 years. We don't hear very often of a new PAR product. This one's cool, though. This is actually, it's called My PAR. It's a My PAR. It's a giving. It's for charitable giving, okay? So they've come up with a PAR product that is just set up for you to be able to give back, which is kind of neat, right? People like giving charitable donations. It's great on your tax return. And this product's been set up essentially for you to be able to do one-time deposits into it. And then there's a couple different, we're actually going to get into a podcast. I think we need to dig in a little bit more into this. So stay tuned. There is going to be another podcast, but cool new product that Canada Life has, put out that is all focused on charitable giving and how you can give back.
Yeah. So if anyone's sitting on a bag of cash and wants to do some charitable giving, reach out to us. This product is a perfect fit for those people, and we can walk you through it. Just one more note on the industry too, Christina. I saw the other day. I thought it was interesting. So in 2022, life insurance sales in Canada were up 1%. Okay, life insurance sales up 1%. That was considered amazing by the industry because the year before, 2021. Life insurance sales were up 25% in Canada. So the expectation was you can't rise that much without seeing a dip the next year. Well, they maintained that 25% increase and added another 1%. So that's great. We got billions of dollars going into life insurance in Canada. But the interesting stat I liked was of all the billions of dollars that go into life insurance premiums in Canada, 65% of that goes to whole life premiums. So when people ask, why isn't everybody doing this infinite banking? How come I haven't heard about it before? Well, there's an awful lot of Canadians that are using it. It's 65% of the life insurance premiums that are trending upwards that represent billions of dollars a year. So it's out there a lot. You just got to find the right advisor to explain it to you. Okay, so that's industry updates. What's next, Christina?
Our question. So we want to do a question from a listener or a client that is going to, other people might have the same question, similar questions. So we're going to share a question and give an answer. So I'll read the question here that we had from a listener about the difference between revocable and irrevocable beneficiaries. So what is the difference between those two types of beneficiaries? Beneficiaries are a very important part of a life insurance contract, right? So is important to know the difference between these two as well.
Yeah. So great question. Revocable beneficiary, that's what we're going to use 99.99999% of the time. A revocable beneficiary just means as the owner, I can revoke that beneficiary and change it to another person. So I can change it from my spouse to my kids to my business partner. Doesn't matter. I own the policy. It's a revocable beneficiary. I can change the beneficiary every day if I want. An irrevocable beneficiary means I can't change the beneficiary without that beneficiary, the irrevocable beneficiary, signing off on it. I can't access a loan from the policy unless that irrevocable beneficiary signs off on it. So why would you want to limit yourself to an irrevocable beneficiary? Well, most times it's because a judge told you to. Typically we see, we're talking about every province outside Quebec now that we deal in. Typically we see irrevocable beneficiaries in the form after divorce where the judge says this insurance has to go to your ex-spouse and they have to be the irrevocable beneficiary. So the husband or wife doesn't change the beneficiary behind the ex-spouse's back. The judge requires an irrevocable beneficiary. So that's the revocable, irrevocable. And then, we'll talk more about there's all kinds of things about beneficiaries for estate planning that you got to be aware of and corporate beneficiaries. We're going to expand upon that in a podcast. But to answer the question, revocable you can change, irrevocable you can't change.
Yeah, and make sure you're careful about adding those irrevocable because once you do, you can't. They essentially become an owner just like you, right? So I've had people say, can I remove this? No, you can't. Not unless they sign off on it too. So yeah.
Okay, now let's move on to control and compound. Things are exciting things going on at control and compound. What's the CNC updates?
So we have big news. We have a new member on our team. I love our team I love it. Our team is expanding. We're growing and we're actually growing across the country. So we have our first wealth coach located in the Ontario area, which is exciting. We've got Connor Eagleson joining us. So super exciting. I'm happy to welcome him to the team.
Connor's going to be a great addition. And we wanted a physical presence in Ontario and, we're continuing to grow this year, so that's pretty exciting. And then just kind of let you know what Christina and I are doing. We always talk about invest in yourself. So, we belong to groups, associations, mentoring groups, all kinds of coaching programs. Conference-wise, I'm going to be attending the Bitcoin conference on June 17th and 18th. This is the first Canadian Bitcoin conference, so I'm just going to go check that out, see what's going on. And Christina, you got a conference coming up in May. You're going to Toronto?
Yeah, Toronto for the multi-family unit conference up there. So a pretty big one going on. I'm excited to see a few people as well, do some networking, see some new faces, old faces, and catch up and learn more, obviously, right? The more you learn, the better it is, especially when it comes to real estate.
Perfect. Well, any listeners see myself or Christina at one of those conferences, please say hi. Appreciate it. Now let's talk about some of the podcasts we've had, Christina. We've had great feedback the last month on podcasts. Thank you for the listeners that are listening. Our numbers are increasing every month. We're booming. We appreciate it. For those that are listening, we appreciate it. For those that can hit that like button and subscribe button, that really helps our algorithm. So if you could do that, we'd appreciate it. But what podcasts did we have last month, Christina?
Yeah, so last month we had infinite banking for business owners. So that if you are a business owner and you missed that podcast, you're going to want to go back and check that out. We talked about corporate owned infinite banking policies. So definitely something you want to listen to. We talked about how your infinite banking policies are protected. So last month, there was a lot of news about banks collapsing. We had a lot of questions. What's going to happen to our infinite banking policy? Well, spoiler alert, they're very well protected. You're fine. But go back and listen to hear a bit more. We also had Kyle Ford on. You had Kyle Ford visit and do a episode on private lending. Really great information there. And then we did a podcast on critical illness too. So just some, overall protection planning information that we wanted to share with you guys. So it was a really good lineup for April.
Yeah, and then just a couple teasers for May. We've got a podcast coming out, common objectives of infinite banking concept, and we're going to address those objections. We've got a podcast on how do they decide the dividend, how do they figure out the dividend, how do they do that. And then I'm excited about this guest we're going to have on this month, Jeff Reeves. Jeff is a partner of ours at Control and Compound, and he's the money guy. So Jeff is going to come in and talk about some stock market stuff, some money stuff, planning stuff. I think he's one of the greatest financial planners in the country, and that's why we use him for the money products, not for the infinite banking. That's what we do, but for the money stuff, Jeff's going to come on and show what he does, and I think listeners will get a lot out of Jeff's speech. He's a great presenter, and then we got a fourth one, Christina, and we're going to come up with that one sometime in the next month, right?
Sorry, I didn't have it on there. We got a bunch on there. We're actually going to do the PAR for Canada Life, the charitable giving one. And then also I'm doing one on, I want to chat about Vitality with Manulife too. That's another hot topic that's happening.
Right, yeah.
Vitality is getting added to all the products. So I think that's a whole podcast on itself. There's a lot of information there to unpack. So we just haven't got them nailed down, but there's going to be some additional stuff that's coming out as well.
I'm just smiling because I know when we don't have enough podcasts in the bank, Christina gets a little squirrely going, well, we only have this many left. We gonna do a bunch. So anyway, lots of good stuff coming out in May. Review those April ones if you didn't see it. Check out the website, controlandcompound.com. Listen to some past episodes. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to this podcast. If you're listening on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell button. If you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, please leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. And if you want more information, check out our website, controlandcompound.com, and you can sign up for an education session with one of our wealth coaches.